Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the KDL. I am State. Joined with me is Peter, and today we have 3 team matches in store for you. Peter, how you doing, man?
I am doing absolutely great. As you said, you know it's a Wednesday when you have 3 team matches, and so far we've had every single team play once. So we have very drastic results right now where some teams are 1-0 and some teams are without any wins. So today is that day for redemption.
Yeah, and we have a lot of matchups today with established teams facing off against these rookie teams that are coming in here to KDL Preseason 2, trying to show what they got. We had not really too many surprising results over the weekend there, the opening weekend here in Preseason 2, but today it might be another story for these rookie teams.
Yeah, the rookies are doing great so far in preseason, of course. As we go through Preseason 2, we have 8 teams here in the main stage, and they will be fighting for a spot to the postseason where the top 4 will be able to make it there. And of course, there's a nice hefty prize pool for the winner as well.
Yeah, 40 million Korean won for first place, just shy of 40,000 US dollars. So a lot of prize money on the line, even though we're only here in the preseason. And Aura, one of those teams that is competing here today in the second match, leading the pack right now, the first team to get a 6-0 win.
Yeah, really impressive stuff from Aura, and this is a team that's definitely stood out in Preseason 1 as well because they've pretty much exceeded everyone's expectations. And if they can continue that streak today and set more round wins as well as set wins, they're definitely going to be set for the postseason.
Yeah, Aura's seeming really strong. In Preseason 1, I was kind of looking at them as the best team in item mode. Yeah. That was a little bit lacking in speed, but as the preseason continued on, you just saw them continuously get better and get better. And although they don't have a big established sponsor just yet, this is one of those teams that I think they have a really good chance of taking it here in Preseason 2.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, we had 3 rookie teams sitting at 0-1 so far, and those 3 teams will be playing today against some really strong opponents. We have Seraphic versus KWANGDONGFREECS for match number 5, followed by Showtime going up against the item mode giants that you mentioned, State, in Aura. And then for match 7, Potential versus Live Sandbox, and Live Sandbox, they're having a bit of a rough start to the season so far.
Yeah, match 7 should be really fun to watch. Live Sandbox, I mean, of course, losing 2 of their star players to military service. They've had a retooled rekit here in KDL Preseason 2, and sometimes when you have these big upheavals in your roster, it takes a while for your team to really start to gel in a competitive setting. So we'll see what they're able to bring to the table here in KDL Preseason 2. I would be surprised if they didn't put it all together by the time we were done here with this preseason, but Potential, man, they've been living up to their name. In that first match on the opening weekend, they almost beat KWANGDONGFREECS, the reigning champions. 3-2 in speed, 2-3 in item, and then barely losing to World in the ace match. Just really phenomenal stuff overall.
I'm sure that surprised everyone. I don't think anyone would have expected Potential to be the team to push KWANGDONGFREECS to their limit, going all the way into the ace match. But of course, for our first match of the day, it is going to be Seraphic coming in. This is a team that has struggled so far, so today can hopefully be a redemption day.
Yeah, some familiar faces here on Seraphic with Binshik, Scarlet, Snoopy, formerly known as Reboots Pure, all joining this team, trying to band together to take it to these veteran teams and potentially, earn some prize money. And maybe this is a team that if they can start to get the ball rolling, we might see them again once the KDL official season kicks off later this year.
Hopefully we do see that coming in from Seraphic, but going against them today is the reigning champion from Preseason 1, KWANGDONGFREECS, the only team where their roster has remained completely the same coming into Preseason 2, and this has to be one of the strongest teams for me right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, World, Cool, Spear, and Sungbin, just 4 of the best players in the world, and for good reason. They were speed masters in KDL Preseason 1, and there's a reason why when you ask them what role they play, World is a speed ace and everybody else is a runner, is because it feels like this team, the raw talent, especially in speed mode, is so high, and I feel like Seraphic, they really have their work cut out for them today here against the KWANGDONGFREECS.
You nailed it perfectly. When you ask the players, what's the scariest thing about KWANGDONGFREECS, they always say that team has everyone so good at doing ace matches. They're all capable, so far they've had World going 5-0 in the ace matches, and we'll see if Seraphic can take them there today.
Yeah, after a harsh debut match, Seraphic's growth drama begins as they're trying to establish themselves here in KDL Preseason 2. As we get a look at the positions here for all these players. Mari will be the runner, Promise, the sweeper, Minshik, the speed ace here on this team, formerly a runner for his previous team, and then rounding it out with Scarlet and Snoopy, the hybrid and item aces. And I mean, this hurts a little bit. We were crushed so bad. We practiced hard. We're here to learn a lesson. I mean, that happens when you get, just crushed in your first debut matches. Got to kind of reset, be like, all right, we practiced hard. It's the opening match. We'll come back. We'll do better.
I really respect the mindset for Seraphic here, because when you are in a competitive environment, it is really important to be able to look at yourself objectively and realize that sometimes, yes, you are the underdog, you're not the favorite, and hopefully they're able to find some of the advantages that come with that mindset. Whereas KWANGDONGFREECS, this is a team where you could say there's some pressure on them, because if they lose to an amateur team like Seraphic, it's going to look really bad on them.
Yeah, it would be a poor reflection on the Freaks' form, especially considering, their first match against another rookie team potential went the full distance, 5 maps in speed, 5 maps in item, and then they barely eked out the win in ace. And whatever they said, back on them. I think the Freaks were anticipating maybe a little bit of trash talk, but I mean, you could interpret this as also now the Freaks are kind of like, all right, well, we're also bad.
Yeah, that might be my favorite trash talk of all time. And of course, we got to see a glimpse of the coach of KWANGDONGFREECS there. I've seen this guy in their team documentaries, and he plays such a crucial role in the team dynamics. He's always there cheering for the players in the crowd, and we love seeing him.
Here we have the speed track list as we get ready to kick things off. KWANGDONGFREECS selecting Desert Construction Chaos here as track number 1, and then we go to one of the newer tracks, WKC Japan Circuit for track number 2, and then rounding things out with Boom Hill Tunnel, Winding Slopes, and Glacier Extreme Stadium.
I'm really excited for the Japan circuit because I've actually never been to Japan myself personally, so it's going to be like my little tour of what Japan would look like if I was there.
You haven't been. I'm actually surprised, man. It's right across the pond. It's so close.
Yeah, it is very close to Korea, so maybe I should visit there one day. The round 2 might convince me if I see some beautiful scenery.
I mean, well, the map design is so beautiful here in Kart Rider Drift. I mean, I just absolutely love it. These maps are gorgeous. You can see a lot of love, a lot of hard work went from the dev team and making these maps the best they can be as fans coming out here in droves as we're getting ready to start off match number 1 here today with Seraphic versus KWANGDONGFREECS. Can the rookies upset here on Desert Construction Chaos?
Let's go. We begin the race. The first round, the speed between KWANGDONGFREECS and Seraphic.
Yeah, should be a fun one, too. I mean, Seraphic, they really want to rebound after that brutal loss to Aura in their opening match here in KDL Preseason 2. But so far, pretty competitive here to start things out. Spear and Cool are leading the pack, but with 3, 4, 5 for Seraphic right behind them with Marley, Scarlet, and Minshik, there is some potential counterplay.
I do think this is pretty ideal of a start for KWANGDONGFREECS right now. Cool and Spear, they have been a pretty good 1-2 duo the last time we saw them over the weekend, and if they can keep this up, if Mari cannot find a way to pass Spear, which is one of the best sweepers for KWANGDONGFREECS as well, it's going to look really hard for Seraphic.
Oh yeah, Spear, I think it was actually on this same map over the weekend, had some phenomenal body blocking, some fantastic sweeping as you see him just kind of zoning out Mari and Scarlet right now. Mari trying to do everything in their power to gain ground, but really not able to get past the stone wall that is Spear.
You know it's a KWANGDONGFREECS domination when Spear doesn't even need to do much sweeping. Right now, Sungbin is just making sure to keep up the rear in case Spear wants to go for some of that sweep instead. This 1-2-4 formation has been unbroken so far.
Yeah, Cool and Spear still leading the charge right now as we get the shot here of World. Trying to close the distance to create more problems here for Seraphic in the middle of the pack. See, Mari does fall behind there as now Scarlet. Oh man, even Sungbin passed him, so it's 1-2-3 right now for Freaks.
Yeah, and you can see the pressure in Scarlet there. He's trying to take the tighter lines, but Sungbin, he's there to check him on every corner.
What a great body block right there. Scarlet losing so much momentum. Sungbin ricocheting off of him forward now, and for Seraphic here in track number 1, it's not looking good, Peter.
And we wanted to see them perform today after such a devastating loss against Aura last week, but so far, World is here to say no and block out 4 members of Seraphic alone.
Yeah, World just creating so many problems here for Seraphic in the back ranks right now as Minshik, he's trying to close the distance, but I mean, the distance between Spear and Cool is so vast. They are not going to be able to close it. KWANGDONGFREECS is going to be able to take track #1 here on Construction Chaos in convincing fashion.
Yeah, and it's a good thing for KWANGDONGFREECS because they did choose Desert Construction Chaos themselves. This is a rather difficult track, and I feel like a lot of our pro teams that are currently dominating KDL Preseason 2, they're not afraid of these harder tracks, and they prefer playing them even against these amateur teams.
Yeah, especially the Freaks. I mean, this is one of the most technically skilled teams, if not the most technically skilled team here in the KDL Preseason. And I mean, you see it right there with Cool and Spear. They were never contested at the front of the pack, and even Sungbin able to lead the charge and, you know, shore up the flank right behind him. It's a 1-2-3 finish here for the Freaks as Seraphic still are yet to put a track win on the board here in KDL Preseason 2.
Yeah, and the trend that I've noticed so far is that our players do tend to go with the burst cart body when they want to be in the front and being that runner position for the team. And it was Spear actually having that today while it was Minsik for the other side. And it felt like the whole time, Spear didn't even need to be a runner. He had such a versatile position because he knows Cool is leading right there, and Cool rarely gives up his lead. Where on the other hand, Minsik, he didn't really have much backup.
Yeah, not a lot of backup there for Minchik, and the Freaks are able to ride that one to a win as it looks like we're getting ready to go to track #2. Will KWANGDONGFREECS be able to continue the lead on Japan circuit? All right, here we go on WKC Japan circuit, one of the newer tracks here in KDL Preseason 2 is Spear off to a tremendous start. Leading the pack right now, Minchik right behind him. Everyone taking these tight lines to try and close the distance.
Once again, the Spear and Cool duo for KWANGDONGFREECS right now. Minsik does. However, he has that first place position, so as long as he holds it, it does buy time for the members of Seraphic to catch up. World, he's once again playing bottom of the pack to do some sweeping.
Yeah, we'll see if World is able to close the distance here a little bit as Minchik is able to supplant Spear just for a moment there in first place. Is, you know, it's almost like a game of hot potato. These players just continue to trade hands, but Seraphic, you know, to their credit, this is the best that they've looked so far here opening out. Right now holding on to positions 1 and 2, but it's so close. You see Cool taking that tight inner line, able to pull up all the way into second place, and man, the pack is so dense right now.
Everyone is trying to take the shortcuts and the same line, so it is resulting to a lot of body checks, but so far, now with Cool in the lead for KWANGDONGFREECS, they are looking pretty dominant right now. 1-2 in the back once again. Mari is all the way in the back, getting blocked out by Sungbin.
Yeah, World able to make his way all the way up into first place right now to help his teammate Cool kind of lead the charge here as Scarlet and Minchik doing their best to close the distance. We'll see if there's any sweeping coming in from Spear, who's been so good about it so far. Not just in KDL Preseason 1, but 2. And actually, it's Cool doing some body checks, creating problems here for Seraphic, and now KWANGDONGFREECS. It feels like they're starting to consolidate this 1-2 position.
Absolutely. Promise he's trying to do all he can, but you look at Spear, he's always coming into the path, making sure that whoever's coming up behind him cannot take it up.
Man, Cool is playing such a great 1v2, just made so many problems there for both Mari and Scarlet. Just an extended period of time. It's only really Promise here contesting the front pack as we're 500 meters away, Peter, from the finish line.
Promise, if he can keep up this lead right now along with Scarlet, that might be what Seraphic needs, but KWANGDONGFREECS, they have World in first place with Spear coming in fourth, and that is going to be enough.
Yeah, just by 1 point, 20-19, World coming in clutch with that first place finish. We'll give another win to the Freaks, but Seraphic looking a lot stronger here on Japan circuit, man. That was a close race.
Yeah, you mentioned at the beginning of the race that World was sitting all the way at the 8th place, but this guy, he knows how to recover really well. So he knows that when he's not needed as a sweeper anymore and rather securing the positions in the podium is more important. That's exactly what he does, and that first place is enough to give KWANGDONGFREECS a strong continuation of their momentum here.
Yeah, 2-0 lead now for the Freaks here in speed mode as they're only 1 track win away from sending us to item mode with a match win. So the pressure right now, it's on for Seraphic, man. 5 maps, excuse me. 2 maps already played here. They have to go all the way to map 5 here in speed mode against one of the best speed teams in Kartrider Drift if they're going to try and bring this one back as we're getting ready to go to Village Boom Hill Tunnel. KWANGDONGFREECS looking so strong right now. Let's see if they can keep up this momentum.
This is match point for Guangdong Freaks if they're able to seal the deal. They're definitely looking for that 3-0 after a disappointing performance last weekend.
Yeah, a lot of small drifts here trying to build up that meter as fast as possible as the Freaks are off to a really good start. It's going to be Spear and World at the top two positions here for the Freaks as Cool and Sungbin going to try and do some sweeping there on the flank. For Seraphic right now, Scarlet and Promise, they're going to try and take the helm here as, you know, really the story for the Freaks so far these first two tracks has been them getting that first and second place position and not giving it up. And Seraphic, they really want to throw a wrench into the machine that is the Freaks and try and disrupt that game plan.
I was a bit worried seeing Minza got the back for Seraphic, but it seems like Scarlet, Promise, and Mari, they do have a pretty firm control. I was about to say in the 2-3-4, it's going back and forth everywhere right now.
Yeah, it's very close here in the 2-3-4 spots as, you know, these positions just continuing to trade hands. We have a little bit of a 1v1 as well with both Spear and Scarlet taking that tight inner line, actually going up on the curb if I'm not mistaken there for a moment. As Scarlet's going to try and take this tight inner to close the distance a little bit. Promise right behind him.
Right now, it's all up to Scarlet to try to take that first place away from Spear because that's going to give them a huge point advantage. Now it's Sungbin coming up, and Promise is going to fall behind.
Yeah, that is disastrous there for Seraphic as the 1-2 finish here for the Freaks will solidify the sweep here in speed mode. Seraphic still yet to put a track win on the board as the Guangdong Freaks, I mean, you know, they showed a little bit of mortality in their opening match against Potential, but here against Seraphic, just as dominant as ever. Clean 3-0 sweep.
Guangdong Freaks delivering. They said whatever they said, right? And
yeah.
The point of that was about how Seraphic suffered a really devastating loss and their morals are potentially a bit down right now. And it seems like beginning this week on day number 3, things are not looking better for Seraphic.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, coming up here against the Freaks especially in your second match, after a rough debut, it's just salt in the wound here for Seraphic, but we'll see if they can come back here in item mode. They will be doing a little bit of position reversal as they will bring out Snoopy, their item ace, to try and shore up, do some play calling here in item mode. And you know, the Freaks, one of those few teams, I think actually the only team here in KDL Preseason 2 running a 4-man roster.
Yep.
They're gonna have to rely on the same 4 players. No item ace here for the Freaks. So Seraphic, if they're going to come in with a comeback, it's going to start right here, right now in item mode.
Hopefully Snoopy's able to prove himself because I feel like a lot of the pressure is on these item aces because they're only here in the item mode to perform. And sometimes if your team does not do well in item mode overall, you have to wonder, is having this item ace position really worth it? Because a team like you said, State, Guangdong Freaks, they're not running that item ace and they're doing just fine breezing by as the champions.
Yeah, but I mean, the raw skill that they have as a team, it's hard to match for any other roster, right? So it makes sense that they want to stick with the same 4-man squad. So we get a look here at the item track list. Seraphic will be choosing Desert Sphinx's Riddle here as track number 1, followed by Village Town Hall, Pharaoh's Pass, Brody's Gloom, and Cogwheel Crush. Some fun maps there to close things out. I hope this one goes to a set 4 or a set 5. I would love to see some wins here out of Seraphic and go back to the factory, man. I've been missing it.
Yeah, I also like the factory tracks as well. I see that Guangdong Freaks banned out London Night because I do feel like London Night is one of those tracks that are much easier to secure a win in, even as an amateur team. So I like that they place more emphasis on going for the harder tracks where there will be less volatility.
Yeah, a lot of these, you know, I mean, you mentioned it earlier here as we're looking at the speed mode. A lot of these teams that are established.
The players from Aura are here to cheer on the players playing today right now, especially Snoopy. 2 of the players on the right were cheering for them, and of course we have some fans for Spear as well.
All the way from, yeah, look at that, man. A lot of fans out here. It's a packed crowd here on a Wednesday. I love to see it as we're getting ready here in item mode. We're going to be going to Desert Sphinx's Riddle here as track number 1. We'll see if the Freaks are able to close things out, man. They've been looking so good. And here we go on Desert Sphinx's Riddle. And just to get back to the point that I was trying to make before we got those shots of the audience and, you know, the players for Aura there in the stands, we have a little bit of downtime here at the start of item mode, is It is very tough coming into a new team or making a debut as an item ace because a lot of the responsibility comes on you to make the right play calling, to try and devise the strategy of attack to deliver a win here for your team. And, this is also, a new patch here in KDL Preseason 2. There have been a lot of balance changes. Balloons are now here in the game. So there are more attacks that are going on. A lot of the items have been reworked. For example, Angel Shield getting nerfed. Some of these attacks becoming a lot more prevalent. It's a complicated thing, and even in KDL Preseason 1, it took a little while to really see the meta start to settle. I wonder how long it's going to take for us to find what are the best strategies here in KDL Preseason 2 item mode.
For item mode, I feel like it's definitely just fiesta of throwing missiles, water bombs, and water whips. And then maybe at the last second, in the last lap especially, you want to make sure that you're saving the items because sometimes players have struggled with not having the items at the right moments because they used it too early. And I feel like that's the focus for a lot of these item aces where the shot calling is going to revolve around.
Yeah, but even the wombo combo of like the magnet and the nitrous is not quite as good as it used to be. The acceleration, I think, is Scarlet with a little bit of a cool play right there. I love that slide drift coming in. The acceleration getting nerfed a little bit there on the magnet makes nitrous a little bit more valuable there in the finishing stretches. And it's got to be interesting to see how these teams start to prioritize all these different items as we're coming here into the final lap. Spear still leading the charge here for the Freaks, but Snoopy and Minchik right behind him. We do have a lot of nitrous, a lot of magnets here, especially towards the the bottom part of the pack, and even some Thunderbolts coming in.
Yep, Spear is holding on to an Angel as well as a Lightning. Minchik also has a Lightning. Now World picks one up as well. These Angels are going to be absolutely important as the Angels start getting sacked left and right. Now it's Cool and Sungbin leading the pack for GWANGDONGFREECS. Cool is looking uncontested right now, but the Water Wisp is going to come in huge. Scarlet going to get targeted by a missile, but it's enough for him to take first place for Seraphic.
Yeah, a lot of momentum lost there for the Freaks in the final stretch, and Scarlet, despite getting hit by that missile, had just enough momentum to cross the finish line. And Seraphic getting their first track win here in KDL Preseason 2, getting on the board, a 1-0 lead here in item mode against KWANGDONGFREECS, the reigning champions. And I mean, that's got to be a weight off these guys' shoulders. You're coming up here on stage, you're a new team, a new roster put together. It's a stressful situation, so to finally get that dub, it's got to be feeling good, and hopefully we'll see some more from them here in this series.
Right as you talked about the weight coming off their shoulders, I actually saw a player from Seraphic sighing a breath of relief, and I'm super happy for them right now for having their first round win so far, and I'm sure the fans are getting excited now as well because all it takes is 2 more round wins, and we could have another ace match for GWANGDONGFREECS in Preseason 2.
That would be fun to watch, though, man. I love my ace matches. I absolutely love them, especially considering how hot the Freaks have been so far in aces. World 5-0 overall over the last, KDL Preseason 1, KDL Preseason 2. Still undefeated, much like Jung. So it's been a lot of fun coming into these ace matches. I would love an upset here for Seraphic, but we'll have to see what happens.
As you mentioned, Jung also being a strong ace match player. Both Jung and World, they share the same record right now, 5-0. So let's see if Seraphic can bring a new result to that rivalry today as they try to take us to an ace match with Village Town Hall as track number 2. Here we go, Seraphic finally putting a score on the board. We have Snoopy sitting at first place. Let's see if he can keep up that lead.
I kind of doubt it, man, here in item mode. I mean, it's so chaotic, especially here in the opening starts where, everyone's just cycling through their items, cycling through their attacks, and we'll see how things start to shape up. As I really like the way that Seraphic's approached that last track. Scarlet being able to come through there in the clutch by just saving just enough boost to get across that finish line. You'll love to see it here as Town Hall, man, a lot of construction going on here. There's some, I don't know if you noticed, but those rows, they were not looking pleasant to drive on.
Yeah, they actually do kind of boop you off your line, and I've seen that throw people off sometimes. So I like that Town Hall is definitely adding some variance to the item mode that's already filled with so many offensive items here in Preseason 2.
That's fun. I always love, whenever maps get updated or you have new maps getting added to the pool, it's always a pleasure to see, all the secrets that are there, all the shortcuts, all the unique map features, because it really feels like every single map kind of has its own flair. It's a lot of fun to watch. As World right now leading the charge there, does have an EMP in his back, cool right behind him, but I would not be surprised to see Minshik, Snoopy, or somebody else come and contest that. Yeah, right there, Minshik already moving up to the second place as we just continue to trade hands here at the top.
Yeah, now World, he doesn't have any defensive capabilities, so now it's going to be Cool who's going to speed off for KWANGDONGFREECS. He does have both Angel and EMP Wave, so he's pretty stacked right now in terms of defending himself. And if you look at the minimap, Cool is racing off by himself right now, almost being untargetable.
Yeah, Cool's actually gaining a lot of distance, so if you're the rest of the players here for KWANGDONGFREECS, I would not be surprised if they just try to create problems here for Seraphic in the middle of the pack. And look, actually Seraphic in 5, 6, 7, 8 positions right now. This is lap number 3. So if the Freaks are able to hold on to this,
Snoopy with the magnet.
Only 500 meters away.
Yep, Snoopy, he's holding onto that magnet, so he's going to be looking to use that now in World to try to catch up. And Snoopy is going to do it in style with the 180 turn.
Yeah, look at that, man. That was a perfect magnet as perhaps the KWANGDONGFREECS were running a little bit too far ahead right there, and they didn't have the items in the bag to really come through and get across that final stretch before the finish line. Instead, it's going to be the magnet coming in. And man, I know the acceleration got nerfed, but it didn't feel like it right there as he just zoomed on by. Snoopy picking up the win there for Seraphic as they are now one track away from securing an ace match here against the Freaks. What an upset here in item mode.
I love that the item ace is here to show up for Seraphic. When I looked at the item inventory on the side of Seraphic, there were no items. They were all so bare, and it was just that one magnet looking kind of good for Snoopy, and he utilized it at the perfect timing when the EMP wave wasn't available on the side of KWANGDONGFREECS. As we take a look at the replay, this might be that happening.
I mean, look at the item list right now here for the Freaks. They have, what, 4 EMPs, a Nitrous, and a Water Balloon? There is, like, no counterplay. A Banana, yeah, okay, that does get Scarlet, but Snoopy here with a Magnet, going to be able to come through and just zap all that momentum there from World, and with a little bit of flair going for that 180.
Yep.
Securing the win. Love to see that there for Seraphic. I mean, the Freaks maybe a little bit too comfortable leading the pack right there. Would love to see them hang a little bit more back, maybe try and secure some more attacking items to potentially, allow World to really just cross that finish line. Instead, it's going to be Seraphic up with a 2-0 lead here in item mode.
It was Spear who had the EMP wave for the KWANGDONGFREECS, and it would have been nice if he was at the front so that he could have absorbed that magnet, but of course, as it comes to the last moments of item mode, you can't have everything go your way, especially due to how hectic it is. You can pretty much never guarantee a specific player from your team to be in the front. It's always going to be decided based on which items were targeted on who throughout the match.
Yeah, it really does come down to that final stretch there in item mode. And it's one of the reasons why we talked a little bit more about, the meta game and exactly where these teams are lining up. And, track number 1, or lap number 1, excuse me, lap number 2 is because, once you go into lap number 3, especially, the last kilometer, last 500 meters before you cross that finish line, it's going to be, okay, how do these inventories stack up? What counterplay do these teams have available? Where is everybody? If there's shortcuts on the map, who is taking it? And it's really just that mixture that leads to victory. And Seraphic, twice in a row, able to analyze the situation and play it to perfection. And once again, up 2-0 here in item mode against the Freaks. Not a result I was expecting.
We may have found the weakness to KWANGDONGFREECS State, because last time when they played off against Potential, it was also item mode where they lost 2-3 and had to go to that ace match. And now coming in against another rookie team today, and now being down 0-2, it has to be concerning now. Maybe does KWANGDONGFREECS need to start looking for an item ace?
Maybe, man. I feel like it's maybe just... It's more likely that they just, go back to the drawing board. They have an excellent coaching staff. The talent on this roster is insane. Just, try to find a way of adjusting a little bit better to the new meta here in item mode. We've had so many shakeups, not only with the different maps, but also with balloons, with rebalancing of the items themselves, that I feel like, especially for a team of veterans, they're going to be able to figure it out. It's just going to take some time.
there are certain tracks definitely where we've seen the water bomb have a better usage due to the track being extremely narrow, so there's not a lot of space for you to be weaving in left and right into the inners and the outers. And I feel like that's definitely going to be a track where we start seeing a lot more priorities on shields, and angels, of course, are always being prioritized, but, you know, an item like shield, it's not as useful because it can only protect yourself, but even that can definitely come in clutch in certain tracks.
Yeah, but even angel shield got nerfed. It only blocks one attack, so it is going to be, you know, difficult to make that adjustment and find out exactly, you know, what the right formula is for success here for the Freaks. Is they did ask for a little bit of time to try and maybe collect themselves here, as that's why we have this brief pause, but soon they will be ready. We will be going into track number 3 shortly here. As the Freaks, you know, just getting ready. It must be tough going down 2-0 here in item mode, you know?
Yeah, and our fan here is saying, because of Seraphic, I had to finish my test in 10 minutes and my hands hurt. Then you see that little cute little emoji there.
I can relate, man. I remember when I was in high school, and like, I'm 30 years old now, so this is just ancient history, but I remember I was taking a health class final, a written exam. We had to write this little essay in class. It was the health teacher, right? And I had PE the previous class. I broke my finger playing basketball, and I showed my teacher, my health class teacher. I'm like, I think my finger's like really hurt. Like, I can't do this essay. She's like, no, you're gonna do this in-class essay. Your finger's fine. I go home, it swells up. I go to the doctor. They're like, yeah, this is broken. And the next day, I go back to my teacher. Like, you told me it was fine. It's broken.
That sounds definitely controversial in today's time and age.
No, it's fine.
But I
got stronger for it. But oh man, I haven't thought of that memory in so long. But yeah, hands hurting after taking an exam. I certainly can relate. As I think finally, Peter, our teams are getting ready. We're going to be going to track number 3. Seraphic going to try and close this one out here on Desert Pharaoh's Pass. Will they be able to force an ace match here against the Freaks? And here we go on Pharaoh's Pass. Seraphic just one track win away. If they can continue this item mode momentum, they will be going to that ace match here against the Freaks, as the pressure is really on right now for our veteran team.
Yeah, and Guangdong Freaks called for a pause because they wanted something checked out in the previous match, but the referees have decided that there are no issues, so we're going to continue as is with Seraphic leading 2-0. So we're hoping to see Seraphic closing it out on this track here because it is their track of choice.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is their track of choice, so perhaps Seraphic has some really nice plans here on Pharaoh's Pass to try and make something happen. As Spear barely making that jump. Barricade comes through, everyone able to avoid that easily here as we're going into lap number 2. World and Spear right now holding up positions 1 and 3. Well, I say that and we just continue to trade hands here because this is item mode.
Yep.
But Seraphic looking pretty good right now. They have a lot of players, you know, positioned close to the top of the pack, and you know, depending on how these items shake out, we'll have to see what happens here in lap number 3.
I like that World is in the front right now for Guangdong Freaks because he does have a shield as well as an angel, so he's trying to absorb a lot of the aggro. In fact, he just picked up another shield, so he just used up 2 items from the side of Seraphic, and he's still in the front.
Yeah, he's just been cycling through those, so, you know, just trying to take any aggro he can. As Sungbin now coming in. Nice attack right there on Promise. Is going to be able to slow him down quite a bit. As Spear actually trying to set up, I think, for a water balloon. We'll see if it gets thrown. I think it did, but was not able to connect. As Cool and World right now in positions 1 and 2, entering the final lap.
Yeah, things are not looking good because World, he's constantly getting the defensive items. This time, he does have the EMP wave so that the Magnet from Minsik will not come in as clutch this time around. As we see now, Cool once again taking up the front with World. Both players having the EMP this time. They don't want what happened in round 2 to repeat.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the item list right now, and I'm really liking where Minsik is set up with both a Nitrous and a Magnet. You can see him not wanting to rotate off of those, just trying to close the distance as best he can. So if the rest of these players here for Seraphic can try and attack, maybe they can buy some space. We see UFOs coming in, but Guangdong Freaks, they just have so many players to the front. Not enough attacks able to come in there for Seraphic. And it's going to be actually a 1-2-3 finish. Not that it matters here in item mode, but everything went right here for the Freaks in track number 3.
Yeah, Scarlet was the only player that had the best chance for Seraphic there near the end, but he got targeted out by a Water Wisp, and at that point, it was a very one-sided victory for Guangdong Freaks. Now, coming up on the board 1-2, they need to win 2 more tracks to be able to have a clean sweep today. And what do you think, Slade? Do you think they have what it takes?
I think it can go either way. I can see Seraphic easily taking one of these next 2 maps, considering how well they've played so far today here in item mode. But, you know, the Freaks are also the Freaks. I would not be surprised if they won these next 2 tracks 2-0. So I understand it's kind of a middle of the road answer, not very exciting, but I really do feel like either of these teams, you know, we might have the Guangdong Freaks coming through with another 2-0 win. We might have Seraphic forcing their first ever ace match here in the KDL preseason. And I would love to see them be able to do that because, I mean, you know, a new team coming here to the KDL and going up against the Freaks in an ace match, a repeat of what we saw in the first weekend would be so much fun. We'll see if they're able to close it out. Still 1 track win away as we move on to Factory Brody's Blue.
Kick the race off with Seraphic still at match point here. If they can close it out on Guangdong Freaks' choice of track, that would spell doom for the Freaks.
And hopefully Seraphic will have a little bit better item inventories here entering lap number 2 than they did in the previous track. And, you know, sometimes that's just kind of the way things shake out. You don't get too lucky, or perhaps you cycle through items at times where you really shouldn't have. And it can be difficult. Sungmin, actually. Oh, he's setting up for a Water Wisp. He actually does hit Scarlet there. Was probably hoping to get Promise as well, but instead only hitting 2 players is... that was a really clever tactic to try to go for the Water Balloon. I love that attack coming out from Sungmin. And once again, it's going to be cool. You know, leading the pack here for the Freaks. Snoopy to item ace here for Seraphic in first place, right behind him.
Yep, and I think the point you mentioned is really important, State, because I also noticed it too. I feel like Seraphic in these item rounds, whenever they needed their items the most in the last seconds, they were always lacking them. So I do want to see their item ace calling out for the players to hold on to those items a bit more, because they will likely need some of those Angels as well as Magnus this time around.
So many spinouts right here as we have every kind of attack coming in.
Yeah, once again, Spear just getting completely spun out of line there. It seems like it's going to be Sungmin and Cool who has the chance to keep up this lead for Guangdong Freaks as a Water Bomb is going to go amiss.
We have some shields, some thunderbolts, but not a lot of really big speed items here so far. You do see Snoopy and Scarlet each have a Nitrous and a Magnet apiece, so perhaps able to make something happen with that. They are in a much better aggressive position here than, you know, they were in the previous track, so yep, potentially able to make a play. We'll see what items come out.
Good Angel usage there, but the 2 players on each side are going to get locked out by the Water Bomb. Now Snoopy also gets caught out. Now it's World looking to continue that momentum for the Freaks.
Yeah, World, Cool, and Sungmin right now leading the charge. Scarlet and Snoopy going to try their best to close the distance. Attacks coming in. Will they be able to find World? Only 150 meters away. Attack comes in, and now Snoopy going to be able to cross it and force an ace match here for Seraphic. As you can tell, they are feeling pumped right now. Coming into item mode, they had not won a single track here in KDL Preseason 2 yet, but now they're going to an ace match against the best team in the league.
Snoopy is super clutch today, Stay. He has won so many of these rounds for Seraphic today, coming in at the end when it's needed. He's the one that is so good at holding on to the items for Seraphic, and you can see him proudly showing off his banner there saying, "Say your wishes to Seraphic." And I'm sure the fans are going to say, we want you guys to win, and we want to see that ace match, which we are going to now with Seraphic winning 3-1 in item here against the Freaks.
Yeah, that's a great story here for Seraphic. I mean, even if they walk away without getting a win here in the ace match, I mean, this has just got to be such a relief for this team. And yeah, this is the kind of result, especially against, you know, the reigning champions from KDL Preseason 1, that can give you a little bit of momentum. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a turning point here for Seraphic in KDL Preseason 2, and they're able to come through with some more clutch performances here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and this is the second time already that Guangdong Freaks is going to be forced to do an ace match, and this is also their second match, so I must say the form of our defending champion is looking a bit shaky as we start Preseason 2, as, you know, they're deciding who's going to be going up on that ace match. I'm pretty sure it's going to be World for Guangdong Freaks. You have to let the guy continue his streak. If he wins another one today, then he's going to be 6-0 in ace match records, effectively putting him at a place higher than Jung right now in the ace match standings.
Yeah, he's just been playing out of his mind here in these 1v1 races. So you got to think it's going to be World here for the Freaks. And so if you're Seraphic right now, you got to be thinking who really on our roster has the best chance of taking him down. I mean, it could be Maru, it could be Minshik.
Yeah.
I think those are probably the two players that I would be most leaning most towards putting out here. But it's just such a difficult task. It feels like a David versus Goliath story here. Going up against the ace for the Freaks as we're getting ready. We're going to find out what the map is going to be. And once again, we're going to WKC Japan circuit.
Yeah, I love that. We're getting to see a lot of the Japan circuit today. And if I were to take a guess on the side of Seraphic, I'm expecting to see Minsick because I know he is the player choosing for that burst card body. So let's see what happens here as the players get ready to be shown on stage.
So much anticipation right now about who it's going to be for Seraphic, as this could be a very big moment here for them in KDL Preseason 2, and it will be Minshik, and actually the Freaks bringing out Sungbin. Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely something I did not expect.
Yeah, I was really thinking that they would try to let World, add on to his lead. 5-0 overall in ace matches, potentially going to 6-0 if he were to win today, but instead, the Freaks, I mean, this is a team that has so much depth, so much skill on their roster. I mean, Sungbin coming out, this is still going to be an incredibly difficult task here for Minshik to take him down. I mean, Minshik, formerly the runner on Team Planet, now the speed ace here on Seraphic, looking for a chance to prove himself here against one of the best teams in the world.
And he has a chance right here today, going up against Sungbin in WKC Japan circuit. Let's see if Seraphic can get their first win of Preseason 2.
Sungbin versus Minshik, Seraphic versus the Freaks, as the Seraphic is looking to make the ultimate upset here early on in KDL Preseason 2.
Yeah, we see Sungbin being very aggressive right now with his lines, crashing into Minsick at every opportunity he has, but it's Minsick who is leading. And it seems like the nitrous gauge is pretty even for both players currently.
Yeah, Sungbin maybe just a little bit of an edge right now, but it is so close in terms of nitro gauge that it's hard to choose a player that you could advantage. And Sungbin, I mean, he's still in drafting range. Minshik, yes, he is leading the pack right now, but this is a 3-lapper. There is a lot of track left to be played.
So I really like the strategy coming out from Sungbin. As you pointed out, State, Sungbin did have a pretty nice nitrous advantage there as he cuts into the front.
Yeah, building up a little bit more nitrous here too as he gets in front of Minshik and continues to take these tight inner lines. We'll see if Minshik's able to close the distance or if he's going to be content to just try and stay in drafting range, moving on into lap number 3.
Once again, Minsick is behind right now in the booster gauge, so the key for Minsick will be the draft timing when he decides to go for it. In fact, he takes the wide outer line, and that's going to be enough for him to get the lead. Now, it's Sungbin playing catch-up.
Yeah, a little bit of a collision right there. We'll take some momentum there from Sungbin, so he's going to have to use these drafts to close the distance yet again. Minshik right now in the lead here for Seraphic. We'll see if he's able to hold on to it. Getting ready to go into lap number 3.
I like that both players here are taking completely different lines. Sungbin tried to murder Minsick there by going in his line, but it didn't work out for him because now Minsick does have a wide lead. Sungbin trying to take the tighter corners to get back into draft range.
Yeah, that was such an aggressive play right there as we entered lap number 3 to try and just take Minshik out with a big sweep. And now it's going to be Minshik playing a little bit of defense. Oh, actually stopping Sungbin from taking that tighter line, but no, Sungbin able to come back in yet again, now in first place.
He finds the angle, now it's Minsick's turn to try to do the same. He takes the inner, but he goes wide, and now it's Sungbin in the lead. Minsick trying to get back into draft range, but he's out of nitrous.
150 meters away here on the straightaway, and it actually will be Sungbin able to close it out just by a hair on the right lane. As that was as close as it gets. I mean, KWANGDONGFREECS, their first 2 matches, 2 photo finishes in aces against 2 rookie teams. I mean, say what you want about their form, it does look a little bit more shaky here starting off KDL Preseason 2, but they are as of yet still undefeated.
Yeah, and the fact that they were able to pull off a victory in Ace Match, not even using World, their most redeemed player in Ace Match, and just swapping in Sungbin shows the prowess of this lineup in the Freaks. Why everyone says, no matter who comes out for that Ace Match, you're fighting against some of the best players in Ace Match.
And just a 1/10 of a second separating these 2 racers, but Sungbin with 10 more drifts, 62 to the 52 there for Minshik. potentially the difference maker there in that race. Is Guangdong Freaks able to deliver yet another win here for their fans? But if you're a fan of rookie teams, if you like rooting for the underdogs, you're still going to be happy with this performance from Seraphic, going all the way to the ace match against the reigning champions, the Freaks, and making it so close.
Oh yeah, I'm really happy State. Seraphic, having been the only amateur team with 0-6 for their record, has been pretty rough for them, but today they managed to rack up a lot more set wins as well as round wins. So, and if they can pull that off against the Freaks, I'm sure that, you know, the future teams they face, it's only going to get easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this might be a turning point for them, and it's lucky that it's coming so early in this season as well. I mean, this is only their second match here against the KWANGDONG Freaks, so there's a lot of races left to be played here for Seraphic, and if they can continue to perform at the level that we saw them play here against the Freaks, I could see them picking up a lot more wins.
Yeah, and I loved how calm Minsik was at the end there. Despite losing, he was still able to clap for his opponent as well as for his own team's performance today. You know, Minsik is a player from Planet in Preseason 1, and he hasn't been able to find much success there. And I hope in Preseason 2, he's at least able to look back on the season and say, you know what, I played pretty darn good. And I know that teams are going to want to pick me up if they want to succeed in KDL.
Or maybe even Seraphic, if this, you know, roster starts to gel a little bit, we might see them in the regular season for KDL, you know, come later this year. There might not be another shakeup here with this roster. Is, you know, everyone right here, it's a new game. They're trying to find out exactly who they want to race with and who they want to, you know, try to forge a championship team with. And so for Seraphic, you know, if they can start to build that chemistry and gain some momentum, it could be very good for them.
Yeah, and we can see the fan there saying, actually, Guangdong Freaks, win however you want to. And I feel like that is pretty much the motto for Guangdong Freaks right now. This team, even if they lose in speed, item, it doesn't matter because it feels like they just end up winning all the time anyways in whatever fashion they choose.
Yeah, they've been playing out of their minds recently. I mean, these ace matches have been so clutch for them, and if they can start to, you know, consolidate a little bit, start to shore up those defenses there in item mode, I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing them get a little bit more sweeps as we carry on in KDL Preseason 2.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely would be what you hope for because so far they've gone against two amateur teams, but once they go against teams like Live Sandbox, or Sungnam Rocks, Aura, you know, it's definitely going to be some of that bigger matchups, the more anticipated matchups for the fans as well, and that's where they got to show up, right? You know, as long as they win there, you can kind of forget about their early game in the season, how they've been shaky. It doesn't matter as long as they're winning what's important.
Yeah, and I'm liking what we're seeing out of a lot of these teams so far here in KDL Preseason 2. It feels like this is going to be a very competitive lineup from top to bottom. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw these standings get closer and closer as we continue to carry on with this season. And, you know, the Freaks, they don't seem quite as godly as they did in KDL Preseason 1. Meanwhile, a lot of other contesting teams, like Aura, for example, looking really good.
Yeah, that's why it's a chance for these amateur teams. But of course, we'll be back soon with the matchup between Showtime and Aura. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.
Nobody stopping me. Nobody stopping me. nobody stopping me. Ain't nobody stopping me.